In today's quick climate dictionary, we are focusing on just transition. Just transition is the process to a low carbon society that is green, sustainable, and socially inclusive. And really, it's about envisioning a society that is fairer and more equal for everyone. Hi, I'm Dr. Alix Dietzel, and I'm a senior lecturer at the University of Bristol focusing on climate justice, as well as an associate director for the Cabot Institute for the Environment. Just transition as a concept has been around for decades, starting in the 1970s, where it was a very small and bounded concept all around workforce transition and the energy sector. These days, it is much more broad, and there's lots of overlapping and sometimes competing visions of what just transition might mean. Really, though, it comes down to imagining what the future looks like. What is a future that is fair and sustainable for everyone in society and leaves no one behind? This will look really different in different contexts. In a British city, for example, we might be focusing on things like less traffic on the roads and more public transportation, whereas in a rural setting in Southeast Asia, it might be much more about protecting crops from extreme weather or preparing our homes for heat waves and other extreme weather events. At the United Nations, negotiations around just transition have really only just begun in the last couple of years under a work program that is trying to understand what we need to do in terms of scope and timeframes to act on just transition at the international level. And unfortunately, those negotiations have not gone very well. There is a big contention around what just transition really means, with the global north advocating for a narrow framing around energy sector and job protection and the International Labour Organization definition, and the global south looking for much more holistic vision, which includes things like human rights, decision making, remedial justice, looking at how we treat one another at the global level, and really pushing for systemic change. And unfortunately, these differences have meant that the negotiations have failed. More locally, my work has looked at decision making at the level of the city, focusing on the Bristol environment sector and the environment sector in the UK more generally. And that is because it's one of the most unequal sectors in the UK in terms of who is included. So that is along the lines of ethnic status, for example, or it is along the lines of working class people not being included, victims of climate change not being part of decision making. So although we have a long way to go, I am feeling optimistic about the future, and especially in terms of compromise on what just transition should mean and how we should pursue it.